Hi, Justin. How are you today? Welcome to this another podcast.
Doing well, Dharam. How are you?
Going good, going good. Once again, thank you for being my partner on this web podcast series. It has been going great. Lot of topic has been discussed, and we have another exciting topic today.
Absolutely. I would say it's probably one of my favorites, and I guess it's probably one that I would consider as probably one of my biggest strengths. I guess, if so people have told me.
Exactly. This is all about when you're running any project or program or portfolio, we have stakeholders. So the topic of today is building stakeholder relationship that fuel innovation and growth. We do talk about stakeholders and relationship, but also how can we have exciting, a great relationship which will help us to grow and do your job better.
Yeah, no question. And not only that, to make your own execution better with the current program or whatever project that you're doing, but also from an innovation standpoint or a growth standpoint of the next opportunity. It's certainly beneficial to have those type of stakeholder relationships to then kind of build a coalition to be able to take that next step with, whether it be innovation or new opportunities, to where you have that collaboration together. So it really forms a partnership, and that's certainly, it's not easy, but it's certainly something to strive for, and it really just makes your stakeholder management and engagement and just overall relationships makes things a lot easier. It really does.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you have good relationship with the stakeholder, things can be things become much easier to deliver. If you don't have good relationship, I think people find excuses or some blame game happening, and you feel that hey, everybody is behind you, but it's not their fault actually. It's the way you have engaged with them, the way you build relationship with them.
Absolutely, no question.
So the little definition around stakeholder. What is stakeholder? Stakeholder, somebody who get positively or negatively impact from your project or program. Whatever we're going to do, maybe during the project program and after the project implementation, people get negatively or positively impacted, or even they perceive to be impacted. They all are the stakeholders. So the question I have is there a possibility of a one size fit all approach for managing the stakeholders to meet challenges of today and tomorrow? Can we have a one size fits all?
I would say from a principle standpoint, you could do a one size fits all. Now, what you would do with one particular stakeholder, in one program versus trying to apply that same approach to another in another program, I don't necessarily think works. But I think I don't try and complicate it too much. I think as a portfolio program project manager, you have to be yourself. I think being yourself and being genuine, and don't do something that is out of the ordinary, because it's blatantly obvious. So you have to be genuine and be yourself. I think that is first and foremost. So from a one size fits all approach, that for first and foremost, I think is very important, of being yourself and doing what fits you. Now, from a implementation standpoint, for me, when I go into a new room that is full of stakeholders that, quite frankly, I don't know, I take it as a approach where I'm going to sit down and listen and learn. I'm going to be analyzing the room, even though we sometimes know that the stakeholders that have the most power may not necessarily be the loudest, and so then you're sitting there, you're kind of watching how interactions are, where maybe the true decision maker doesn't necessarily, is not a big rah-rah person, but they may have someone in the room that's kind of doing their dirty work for them, and understanding the dynamics of the entire room, kind of how it all fits together, I think is very important. Certainly you want to be confident when you go in and being yourself, again, genuine, but I think you have to go into a room of folks that you don't know and really have to take that learning approach and really kind of take notes of not only body language, how personnel will respond back to you, understand, like, are they waiting, are they just listening to respond right away, you know, where they pretty much already have a response to you and they're not even listening to what you have to say, you know. So having that a little bit of an idea of each particular stakeholder, seeing if they have an agenda and just taking that all in, I think is very important before you really kind of start formulating your plan. That's at least my approach. So from a one-size-fits-all standpoint, from that principle, I could say that. But once you kind of get a feel for the room and how, you know, you could be fortunate enough to go into a room and everybody is positive and is so thankful that you're there. I mean, I haven't been in one of them yet, but I don't know about you, Dharam, but it's typically probably the opposite, where most of them are very skeptical of you, and you have to win them over, so to speak. But I take that as a challenge. But again, from a one-size-fits-all standpoint, I think you go in with a hey, I'm here to listen and I'm here to learn, and then kind of be able to, you know, eventually take over the room in a winning the hearts and minds, so to speak. How's that for an answer?
See, one size fits may not work every time, because one is every stakeholder has different expectations from you.
Yeah.
Their attitude toward the project and where they're going to help you may be very influential versus, you know, not interested, and their finance team versus, you know, sales team or some other, you know, they have different expectations from you. So you can, you know, your messaging, your discussion cannot be same. You have to tailor your discussion as per the situation or as per the stakeholder expectation.
No question. Yep. It's and one of the things that I use too is when you like you said, you're tailoring that, is I'm no matter whether they're positive towards the project or the objective, or they're negative, I'm still going to get to know them, and I want to find a commonality. That to me is very important. Find some commonality, some common ground, to where you can, you know, start build a baseline of at least some type of a relationship. Find some things that you have in common that, you know, you can kind of lighten the mood from time to time, or be able to recall back on that, I think is very important. You're certainly going to have those discussions that are very serious, but as you build on that from maybe a personal relationship standpoint, it makes the harder discussions easier when you have a shared understanding of each other's interests and goals and approaches. I think that's very important.
Actually, it's a very important point you just mentioned. You know, building like relationship, and sometimes finding the commonalities between you and the other person. And you know, once you know you're on the same level, same page, then talking to the person becomes very easy. And quite often we find when a person, they come and very like focused, they want to get the things done, and you're there also to get the things done, but you are at a different level. So a little bit you have to go up, and sometimes they have to come down to be on the same page. And I think when you start talking, maybe find an icebreaker. Hey, how can I do? You know, what can I do? You know, so we can actually become good friends. Actually, you know, why not?
Yeah, perfect example would be I was in a meeting. This is many months ago now, We were in a pretty serious discussion. Actually, it was for a project in Qatar, actually. And we were in some pretty serious discussions, but the previous time, months before this meeting, when we were in Doha, I took them to one of my favorite shawarma places, and they could not stop talking about it. You know, it was a huge amount of food for a very, very cheap price, and it was just so good. They could not stop talking about it. So you know, so fast forward, we're in this meeting and having some very serious discussions, and I wouldn't say tension, but just, you know, maybe having a disagreement as to how we're going to approach something. And I had said something from our point of view, but then I said, and no matter what, I'll still take you back to the famous shawarma place, you know, so you guys can enjoy that again. And once again, it cut the ice. It kind of brought everybody's tone down, and everybody started laughing and just kind of got back to, you know, hey, everybody realized that we all have the same goal. We may not necessarily agree on the road to get there, but we all have the same goal, and being able to, you know, remind them of that, you know, their favorite shawarma shop that they can't wait to get back. You know, it was a just small and easy line to really kind of just cool the room, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, other things people can talk, like, you know, favorite game like a cricket or baseball or some drama or maybe movies, you know, some actor, actress, or maybe just like you mentioned, restaurant. You know, it's all about. I mean, if you go in a meeting and everybody talking about rugby or any other game and you don't understand that, and it's really difficult for you. So maybe good idea to understand more about that, a little bit more about, so you can at least part of the conversation.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So my next question is a little bit long. Let me read it out. Disruptive trends, crises, and changes in business paradigm influence the relationship between project managers and stakeholders. So do millennial project managers struggle to give solution to clients about the future challenges?
Well, I think we all like to beat up on the millennials. I like to consider myself an elder millennial at this point in time.
Exactly.
I know I'm in that group, but I'm on the very, very high end of that. I'm an elder one, but you know, interesting enough, you know, changes. That's one thing that's constant, no matter how old we are or what era we grew up in.
Yeah.
There certainly is pluses and minuses. I would say I will say that I'm kind of really fortunate to where, yes, I'm a millennial, I guess, so to speak, but I've also kind of in that era, that in between. So I kind of had a little bit of a mixture from the old school and then the new school as well. And I see where a lot of the interpersonal skills and drive and everything else, it really comes from that old school upbringing, where maybe not necessarily the millennials, the youngins, so to speak, have that, but I would say the advantage of where the younger generation has versus the older ones is they're more used to that constant technological change. And I find myself, like, you know, I finally get comfortable with, you know, a perfect example is like the Microsoft Teams. You know, at first, before COVID, you know, it's like I want to just go meet someone in person. And so, you know, at first when you have Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever it was like, oh, you know, I have to learn this and everything else. And, you know, now it's, you know, since you've been forced to go with it, of course you can see the value in it and everything else, but we're a little bit more reluctant to change, I guess. You know, once you finally get comfortable with something or learn the ins and outs of a particular system, you're like, I don't want to change. This works well for me. Perfect example is SharePoint. We've been going through that where we were with AWS and then moving to SharePoint and everything else. And we had finally overcome the challenges, especially internationally with the different VPNs and all that. And I just get everything taken care of, ready to go, and I have a full understanding of it. And we're moving to SharePoint. It's just the constant change. You have to accept it. But with the disruptive trends and different things, and the paradigm, I find myself, of course, we all like to, beat on the younger folks, and I'm sure they will be looking down at the younger folks later doing the same thing. But I think as a project manager, no matter what, with the different trends and changes and paradigms, I think certainly the tempo of changes is probably much faster now, and changes faster than we're used to, just because of the technology is just, we're in an age where it's really maybe my mom and dad's generation, it was more of the space race, where now it's this AI and everything else, and computerization and robots, and it's like every time I go to a trade show, I'm going, oh my goodness, look at that. What is that? So I think, when you really boil it down, and again, I can be, I try and keep things simple and control the things that I can control. And no matter what, project or program or portfolio management is still the same, where you're trying to execute at a very high level. Of course, you're trying to look at new tools that can make you more efficient, to be bigger, faster, stronger. But at the end of the day, no matter what, it still comes down to people. And I just got back from Boston, visiting with some stakeholders that I hadn't seen in person in 3 years. And while we had met, millions of times online, there still is just nothing better than being able to sit down across from each other at the table, look at each other in the eye, and really make some decisions together. And I think no matter what, that still is, at the end of the day, is what really matters. Again, that's just Justin's opinion. I guess I'm old school at this point, but how about that? How's that for an answer, Dharam?
No, I mean, look, it's perfect, and that's what it is. I mean, only the changes at this stage, as you mentioned, is more often. By the time you start something, and you realize, hey, the new tool, new equipment, new device, a new way of doing things coming up. So you have to, adapt accordingly. And the why we're talking millennium, because versus the old school, the experience. People from old school, they probably have more maturity in thinking. Okay, they don't take, I think, abrupt decisions. Okay, let me take it back and think again, and then they can come up with a better solution sometime. But millennium have their the way of thinking. They can look around with various approaches. Okay, if this is not working, maybe let's try this. And why not AI? Try AI, artificial intelligence, or something else. So I don't think that's a negative, but they can bring different perspective actually for the whole project management. I mean, from my point of view, that's my way of thinking.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, each generation will have its strengths and weaknesses, and I don't think that's ever going to change as long as we're on this planet.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, we know these are the stakeholders, and we need to provide them communication right time.
Yep.
All right. Okay. My next question is: do you believe agile or holacracy will help you navigate an uncertain or complex future of innovation and growth?
So I think both, and I'll tell you the perspective. Certainly from a project manager's perspective, I think agile is a very important tool to have. Maybe not necessarily full agile, but in a hybrid type approach. that's with the type of work I have done a lot of in the last almost 7 years is in the foreign military sales realm. And so, your requirements are coming through the U.S. Defense Department, but yet you're also your end user is going to be a foreign military. And so typically when you're working with the U.S. military, their requirements are very black and white. There's no in between. It's either you did it or you didn't. It's that simple. But in the FMS world, as they call it, you're constantly living in the gray area. You're wanting to utilize the requirements and follow them as best as possible, but you're going to have some nuances simply because of the nature of it not being the U.S. military. It's another country's military. And so agile from a project manager perspective, I think will certainly help you navigate the uncertain, complex future and innovation and growth. I think having that agility is really important as a project manager, and then even as you're moving up. But that's just kind of keeping it from a micro perspective. From the macro perspective, holacracy, I do like it in a lot of ways where it's kind of decentralized, and I'll even kind of use it as how I would use the holacracy is more of the mentors that I use that are outside of my particular chain of command, let's say. Bouncing ideas off of them, presenting the particular situations, kind of giving them the lay of the land, so to speak, and go, here's what I'm thinking. Did I miss anything? Or, with this particular upcoming technology, should we try and future-proof this as much as we can to where then if there may be a follow-on business opportunity, we're kind of, ahead of the game, so to speak, and we would be the favorite if that opportunity were to come. So kind of being able to step back and look at that from a macro level to make sure that your company or your organization is set up for success in those future opportunities, is just as important. So between agile and holacracy, I think they're both important depending on your perspective, and having that forward thinking is definitely going to allow for that innovation and the future growth.
Absolutely. Perfectly. This can be any approach, but at the end of the day, we need to navigate through this uncertainty, complex environment, and uncertainty. And being agile, you can look around. Okay, this did work. Let's try something else. If it's not working, let's change it. Try something else.
Yep.
So that's what it is. Right. So what is the role of stakeholder in the innovation process?
I think that's the most important thing to be able to get that innovation. They're the ones that are going to be able to, when you're trying to present this, you have to build that coalition with them. And I think from a selling standpoint of the innovation, certainly that every person under the sun wants to see a project done faster and better and cheaper.
yeah, all three.
No, yeah, and of course the age-old saying is you can only have two of the three. You're not going to be able to get all three. And so if you can meet all three of them, and a lot of those innovation type, whether it be processes or technologies or finding efficiencies, I think is certainly a huge thing. Where I live in the electronic security system world, and typically it's always an afterthought, and it can become very, very frustrating because you get brand new facilities or master plan communities. They're beautiful and everything else, and then our group comes in and installs an electronic security system, and they've forgotten to put the extra infrastructure in the ground, and there's no ability for me to get to the outside of a building to be able to put a camera up, and so I end up putting saw cuts in brand new roads, and having to do a core drilling through a particular wall to get it to be able to have the connectivity out there, you know. And so I think one of the things that has helped us particularly execute at a high level over here is going above and beyond our responsibilities and seeing that bigger picture. Where perfect example is, you know, we've been able to get in with the general contractor that's building these facilities, getting in on the ground up, where our actual work is not going to start for years yet. But being able to build those relationships with the general contractor to be able to, hey, it's a lot cheaper to do it now while you're building it and put it into your design so that it's ready for us. So in a couple of years, when it is time for us to come in, you know, we can hit the ground running, you know. So those are just some easy, simple things. It does sound easy, and it is, but it's when you're talking about these huge efforts, finding those people to be able to make sure that we get that information in is harder than you might think. But from a stakeholder standpoint, the challenge is always, you know, what's in it for me. And I think those particular, if you're able to sell that stakeholder with hey, we're going to be able to get this done sooner, it's not going to cost as much, and we're going to improve quality. I think those big three, as we always say, if you can sell your stakeholders on that, they're going to lead the charge for you. And so I think it's very, very important that as a project, program, or portfolio leader, really being able to communicate the benefits of being able to of these innovations, and really, I think from there, the stakeholders will take care of the rest for you. And just make sure that you're continuing to give them the information, communicate with them, so that they can make sure everybody's on the same page.
Exactly. So, I mean, one of the important things is we are talking stakeholders. These can be your technical experts, you know, architect. They can be your user group. They are the one who are going to use the system. So, because they understand the system more than you. Yes, you are coming as the project manager, you know how to manage things, but they're the people who are going to do the job for you, and they're the people who are going to use the system. They can think from different angles, from their point of view. They can tell this is the risk here, this is the problem here, or this is how we can do the things better. So yeah, involve that, you know, during the discussions as much as you can. You know, they can give you some creative ideas and help you to get the things done faster. You know. Let them share their experiences or the expectations and work with them.
Absolutely.
All right, so how do project managers influence their stakeholders network to underpin innovation?
That's a good one. I try, again, I know I sound like a broken record. I try and just keep it simple, being genuine, being yourself, being real, and not only that, all the innovation and everything else doesn't mean anything unless you deliver, and you have to deliver. And I think you're able to deliver, the work will speak for itself, and that is the best marketing tool that any person or company could possibly have on the planet. It's literally you have that past performance and proven ability to do something that, let's just say, has never been done before, and that type of effort will really just run wild through their various networks, going, hey, here's a particular group that's been able to do something that hasn't been done before. You need to get them on the phone because they can solve your problems as well, and then you're off to the races. I think it's being able to prove it and deliver is the name of the game.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the important tools as a project manager is, you know, identifying the stakeholders. You know, as a project manager, you need to know who are the key stakeholders, who are the, you know, innovators, or who are the user group, who's different type of stakeholder. We need to categorize them, and then we look into who can help us here, and get them in a room, create the right atmosphere for them to thinking beyond what we are doing at the moment. So you can be a facilitator as a project manager to, guys, come together, and this is the objective, and let's see things from different angles. And that's my thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Okay. So why do organizations need to support coachability among project managers to enrich entrepreneurship research to foster innovation?
I will actually say with my particular company, I love the ability when I was a project manager, being able to really kind of while I was employed by Xator, obviously still am, but it really kind of made me feel like I was an entrepreneur on my own. Like, of course, without having the financial risks, of course, as a true entrepreneur. And that was a great thing for me to be able to kind of spread my wings. Now, at first as a project manager, when we had started a project that had never been done before, we were very much heavily involved day-to-day operations and just being able to keep things moving. But as our team got up to speed, it kind of freed me up to be able to really start being the salesperson to our team. Work spoke for itself. Anytime our customer would come over, they would literally look at it and just go, "This is fantastic. Let's start testing now." And we'd always do a great job. And so that work would kind of speak for itself. So we had set the bar of what this is who we are as an organization. And so anytime you have Xator come out to your job site, this is what you're going to expect from a quality and standpoint and how we're going to deliver. But while those guys were doing that, that allowed me to really kind of start looking at the future and start looking at, okay, I need to be able to find our next work, be able to keep this thing going. And from a project manager standpoint, I did have that coachability to where I was being encouraged to really like get out there and do it, like see how far you can take it, and certainly let us know if there's anything you need. And I enjoyed it. Now that's certainly not everybody's comfort zone. I kind of sometimes they feel like that might be a little bit more or too much of an island, so to speak. But I got to think that they saw that in me and knew that I could handle that type of responsibility. And ultimately, it's led to where I'm at today. But having that entrepreneurial spirit and being able to get out of just being a project manager, even though that was still my job title and what I was doing, everybody is business development. Whether from the lowest technician all the way up to the CEO, everyone is business development. You represent your company and everything else. So that type of environment, I think, really helped me kind of really see the bigger picture and be able to start even pursuing new business opportunities on my own, and literally just kind of, they took the leash off me, so to speak, and let me run, and like, let's see what you can do. And so I appreciate that. I've really enjoyed that, and I know, given that my experience of where I've gotten to today, I really want to make sure that it continues on. And so I'm certainly doing that with others as well, where I'm training those particular PMs and others to, hey, this is what you got to be looking for as well. Don't get caught up in this little thing it's irrelevant. You need to be focusing on these things to be able to keep it going. It's not so then as I move up, everyone else moves up as well, and that's really the biggest enjoyment, is to see those others grow into the next generation of leaders. It's really quite a fulfilling thing. So having that environment within an organization, being able to support them and coach them and really allow them to grow and be able to chase those new business opportunities on their own. And certainly that allows them to work with others and think of different ways that they can innovate and make things more efficient. I think it's just an overall having that clean slate and letting people really, like, it is what you make of it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, entrepreneurship is somebody who can see the picture, bigger picture, and take whole team as a leader and taking the risk and get the things done. And sometimes we need to be coachable as a project manager. Okay, I don't know everything. Let me figure out and let me learn and go to other direction.
No question.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Good. So, okay. So how crisis can fast track business transformation?
Of course, it can fast track it when things are going really bad. You better make a U-turn. I go back to probably my early days in the defense contracting world. This is 14, 15 years ago, and this is when I really first got into the business. And I ended up learning what not to do in a very crisis-filled environment, but it made me, it taught me a lot of things, and I was able to learn very quickly. I certainly wasn't in a leadership position at any time at that company, but that the crisis can really fast track a transformation when things certainly are going poorly, financially, poor leadership, but not only that, or just say there's a huge transformation in the marketplace. I wouldn't even necessarily call it a crisis, but look at what's going on in Saudi Arabia right now. I mean, with the transformation going on, where I would say the Saudi government saw the opportunity that they have a youthful population here that is just ready to take on the world's challenges, and look at what's happening with NEOM and Qiddiya and Alula. They're taking advantage of certainly the natural resources they have, but the history and the different sites within Saudi Arabia. Talk about a true fast track of not only business, but just life transformation happening here in the kingdom. And you see what's going on throughout the GCC or in the greater Middle East, and even some of Eastern Africa. It's fascinating where they saw an opportunity and they saw a need to be able to do something to create it for future generations of their population. I guess they maybe could have considered it a crisis where, hey, we have this youthful population. What are we going to do with them? We have to inspire them to achieve more for the next generation for our nation. And what's happening now is truly remarkable. And now we're talking about a city that's never been done before, and the line and Oxagon and Trojena and all these different giga projects. It's certainly unbelievably exciting to be a part of.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you're talking about the bigger, a lot of things happening in Saudi Arabia and all things. But I mean, I see crisis means, let's say, if you want somebody to learn swimming, you throw them into the water.
Very true. Throw them in the deep end, see how you do.
Exactly. So what we have seen recently, in our COVID time, a lot of companies were thinking of doing, digital transformation or going like allowing remote, like working from home was not in their distant dream. They never thought of. But suddenly, hey, we have to work, and whether it's government department or anything else, they decided to go out. They have to allow people to work from home. So that crisis, which was very big problem, and of course that helped a lot of organizations to do digital transformation, or allowing people working from home, and many things also happen because of that. Virtual PMOs and project management, and it has. I've seen that happening. So throw the baby in the water. I mean, it's not the ideal situation, Yes, sometimes when you have challenges, you are more effective than it's a regular routine thing. You just take it lightly. But when there's specific challenge, you actually have focused mind. We have to get it done, and and everybody work together and make it happen.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do when you have to do
I've seen this happening,
it.
Yeah, yeah, good. All right, so does the current scenario nurture close collaboration between various organizations to come together for sustainable innovation?
I think that's probably one of you alluded to it, Dharam, and with what happened with COVID and these new platforms like Microsoft Teams and the Zoom and everything else. It allowed folks to be it didn't matter where they're located in the world. It fosters collaboration there, and then I would even lean in further with the go back to the NEOMs and Qiddiya's and these giga projects in Saudi Arabia. There's no one company, no particular nationality. It is going to take the best in the world to be able to do these things. And it's truly fascinating to see where you have companies like Samsung or any of these different companies coming in, and this is a worldwide collaboration, and just even coordinating through supply chains. That's literally going to be, every supply chain in the world is likely going to have a part of these giga projects. So to see the worldwide effort that it's going to take to be able to do something like this, because of COVID and those technologies forming at that time, I don't necessarily know that these particular transformational projects happening in Saudi Arabia could be done without them now. And so that is, I think we have the kind of the perfect scenario where we have the technologies to be able to, literally press a button and talk to someone over in Singapore or in the United States, doesn't matter where, and be able to talk to them about something in a particular challenge that we have in Saudi Arabia or wherever in the world, and be able to find a solution. That it wasn't that long ago that that it was in the, at least when I was growing up in the U.S., to dial long distance to the town next door to you. So to be able to do that in a matter of a few years is pretty remarkable. And so I think this current situation where we're in allows that close collaboration, and even in a huge scale in various organizations, nationalities, and coming together to be able to put something together that's never been done before. Certainly, I think is what a time to be a part of something like this.
Yeah, and current scenario, with the current situation we are in at the moment, a lot of innovations happening, and the world is becoming more and more smaller. And as you mentioned, press the button, you're talking to somebody in Singapore, somebody in the United States, somebody else, and you discuss and you collaborate, you share your screen, and you come out with a solution very fast. You mentioned a few years ago, if you have to make a long distance call, you have to book a trunk call, and then if you're lucky, then you talk, and then you're also meter going very fast, and kind of worried money versus time and how much can we talk. But now in communication is free, almost actually free. As long as you have internet, you have a free communication happening, and that's where it is.
Yeah, I mean, we were working on a proposal last night, and I was trying to, do some final touches on the master schedule that we were going to submit with it. And I literally just was able to call up our master scheduler. She shared her screen. I told her some of the little changes. I was able to see the changes in real time, and I said, "Yep, that's good to go." She sent it out, and we take it for granted now, but when you really stop to think about it, it's absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, a few years ago, when we have to have a video call, we need to book a room, and of course we have to pay, of course, company to company. But you have to book a meeting and plan accordingly, and other person has to be there. Then you share yourself, talk. But now everything is Zoom, thanks to Zoom, Team, and many other great innovations happening, and every day the new thing coming up. So we are getting more and more closer. and knowing each other. And like we are doing this webinar, currently in Australia and you are in Saudi Arabia. We're doing this podcast like this.
Yeah, we take it for granted already. It's pretty funny.
Great. Okay. In today's reality within the ecosystem, where do multiple stakeholders interact to give rise to innovation?
You know, kind of feeding off the discussion that we just stopped with the close collaboration. Again, going back to where the stakeholders, no matter if they're internal, external, we can easily get on a Zoom call or whatever and be sitting with the manufacturers or different vendors to be able for them to literally give you a demonstration while I'm sitting in my home office. You know, I think that is just being able to do those things. You know, multiple stakeholders can be everywhere in a matter of a click of a button, where I can be in Singapore to then have a meeting the next hour, and you know, Riyadh to finish the day in the U.S. It's incredible. And so within the ecosystem, they can be literally anywhere. And with the digital communications, certainly, I don't want to forget that the in-person meetings are still important, I believe. I think it's very important for a stakeholder standpoint to meet with the different exhibitions and different seminars, and being able to go and meet people face to face and share that knowledge with one another I think is still very important, with whether it be different PMI chapter groups or whatever kind of networking. I think is still very important, and being able to it's utilizing those particular meetings to sit with another program manager, and maybe they've faced a situation in the past that you're dealing with now, and be able to share that knowledge. You know, even Dharam, as you have a couple WhatsApp groups with the certified PgMPs and PfMPs in the world. Those type of forums are easily available to just shoot a message and go, hey guys and girls, what have you guys done in a situation like this in the past? It's just so easy now. But being able to utilize those particular groups and leverage those, I think, is invaluable and can help everyone be better.
Yeah, and also people feel excited and to be part of the discussion or part of the sharing knowledge, and be part of the something bigger happening. You know, you mentioned correctly, I have a few groups, and then I need some clarification. I need something to be done. I just post message, hey, Dharam, I'm here to help. You know, bang, immediately 5-10 messages from everywhere, and suddenly what you're thinking was kind of impossible. Suddenly, hey, this is all possible. It's become real within no time. Of course, you need to have right questions, the right audience, and that's where it is. And right people in the group. And I mean, of course, you need to create an environment where people are really ready to help us.
No question. Yeah, I mean, it's there's resources out there, and certainly LinkedIn and all those other things now. Finding different ways to be able to do your job better and more efficiently. Always have that approach to, hey, I'm going to learn something, because no one person has the answers to everything. That is for sure. But amongst each other, we probably do.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for people to learn from various type of groups, whether it's a PMI chapter groups, or or maybe your own specific needs. Like you are in a cloud technology, maybe a cloud group, maybe you are in a project management group, program management group. So utilize those groups and share your knowledge, experience, learn from each other. Yeah, that's what it
Absolutely.
is. Great. Thank you, Justin. It was great talking with you as usual, and very insightful thoughts. Thank you. And any last minute thoughts?
Always a pleasure, Dharam. Always, it's nice to see you. I don't get to see you as much as I used to. I was spoiled during my PgMP and PfMP time, so now I'll take it roughly every 2 weeks, but certainly it's different now that now that I don't have anything to study for from the PMI side, but certainly the MBA is taking up a lot of my time. But
yeah, good luck for your MBA, and I'm looking forward for our next podcast and with a new idea and new topic. Thank you.
Looking forward to it.